I hope everyone can see my slides.
Yes.
So I just want to thank those in the community who organized this session. I think it's really exciting for us as a community to have the opportunity to present to this larger forum at FOCiS. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction to the airr community. So the idea for the airr community came in, I think, 2014 during discussions among Jamie Scott, Felix Braden, and Tom Kepler. And during 2014 and 15, I think there were a handful of small meetings at Simon Fraser University that were focused on crafting a mission for the community and growing the community. And then we had our first big meeting at the NIH Fishers Lane Conference Center in Rockville, Maryland in 2016, and we have had annual meetings ever since. We joined the Antibody Society in 2018, and now we have grown into a community that includes several hundred members from around the world. Okay, I'll have to do it that way. So what is the airr community? So as Encarnita mentioned, we are a committee within the Antibody Society. Our mission is to advance and promote the generation, analysis, standardization, and sharing of high throughput sequencing data that characterizes adaptive immune receptor repertoires. We're a grassroots organization with a variety of different stakeholders, including wet and dry bench scientists and computational biologists, software engineers, ethicists, and legal experts. And our membership includes academic and industry partners. And importantly, the airr community is open to anyone who's interested in immune repertoire profiling. So hopefully many of the attendees will enjoy our session today and become interested in joining. And towards the end of the talk, I'll put up some information about how you can join us. So the work of the airr community is accomplished through the efforts of our working groups and subcommittees. Working groups are formed to accomplish a specific mandate and are expected to sunset once achieving their stated goals. And sometimes they sunset into a standing subcommittee. So subcommittees differ in that their work is ongoing and is not tied to specific deliverables. So we currently have 7 working groups within the airr community and 3 subcommittees. And I'll just briefly highlight their stated goal and a few of their recent work products. All of the working groups have been extremely productive. The goal of the Biological Resources Working Group is to provide the airr community with biological calibrators and reagents for the generation and evaluation of airr-seq data. So they're responsible for coordinating the development of reference samples that can be used as controls, for recommending a series of biological standards that can be used for the normalization of data sets. And they just recently had a manuscript accepted at eLife that describes the results of an international survey the group conducted on airr-seq data generation practices, and does a great job summarizing the current state of the field and the group's future work to improve the rigor of airr-seq data generation. The goal of the Common Repository Working Group is to promote and facilitate the deposit, access, sharing, and reuse of airr-seq data sets through the creation of the airr data commons. So the primary work product of this working group to date has been the development of an application programming interface that serves as the basis of bringing disparate airr-seq repositories into a state of interoperability, so that they can be jointly queried. And one of the later talks will go into more detail about the airr data commons and how you can share your data there and access data that is there. The goal of the diagnostics working group is to explore the possibility of applying airr-seq technology as a diagnostic tool in the clinic, and they're investigating barriers to widespread implementation of airr-seq for clinical applications. They recently also have had a manuscript accepted in Frontiers in Immunology that does a nice job describing the current state of diagnostics from airr-seq data. And they're also planning a series of podcasts, so do stay tuned for that. The goal of the germline and database working group is to promote the development of complete and accurate sets of reference germline immunoglobulin and TCR genes, and to promote accurate analysis and reporting of germline genes that can be identified in airr-seq data. They also work with other organizations such as IUIS, which I think is International Union of Immunological Societies, that are involved in the naming of immunoglobulin and T-cell receptor genes. And this group has been extremely prolific. They've produced multiple databases and algorithms, and they recently published a position piece highlighting the importance of comprehensive and accurate reference germline databases. And one of the later talks is also, I think, going to focus on a lot of the work from this group. The Legal and Ethics Working Group has as its goal providing a forum for focused discussion and development of legal issues, such as regarding intellectual property, and ethical issues, such as regarding human subjects research, and advancing standards around those topics for the airr community. They're currently putting together a survey to help determine why individuals are reluctant to share their airr-seq data. And they're also working to clarify the intellectual property and licensing issues regarding software that is developed within the airr community. The standards working group has focused on developing metadata standards as well as standardized file formats and schemas for the machine interoperability of those standards. And several publications have come out of that group providing documentation for standards on both sides. So annotation of experimental data, and studies generating those data, as well as documentation on the machine interoperability of those standards and how to utilize those standards if you are developing software for airr-seq analysis. So we have 4 subcommittees. So the executive subcommittee handles things that are community-wide, so overseeing manuscript endorsement, for example, managing elections, drafting proposals regarding governance, and those sorts of things. The Inferred Allele Review Committee arose out of the germline database working group, and their primary function is to judge the validity of germline immunoglobulin and T-cell receptor genes and alleles that are inferred from airr-seq data. And it advises the IUIS and IMGT nomenclature committees. The communications working group, subcommittee rather, is responsible for communicating activities of the airr community, both to members of the community as well as to the general research community. And they use multiple different media for accomplishing this. The meeting subcommittee plans all of the airr-seq meetings, airr community meetings, and also contributes to planning of the TABS, Antibody Engineering and Therapeutics annual meeting. And amazingly, this committee planned and ran, I think, 4 virtual meetings during 2020, including one special meeting that was held in response to COVID-19. So what can we do together as a community? This here just highlights some of the stated missions of the working groups for 2021. So continue expansion of the data commons, the standards that we've developed, the methods for analyzing airr-seq data for inferring novel germline alleles, hosting them in databases, continuing the efforts to develop biological standards, all of these activities, and importantly, to convene international meetings and virtual conferences to continue advancing these goals. So to that end, we have an airr community meeting planned for this coming December. It'll be our 6th meeting, Exploring New Frontiers. We will definitely be having a virtual component to this meeting, and I think it's we're hoping that there will also be an in-person component. And if it is in person, it will be held at Scripps Research and Hilton La Jolla, both locations. And if you're interested in registering for the meeting and getting more information, there's this link here. And down here, the second link, you can view agendas from our prior meetings as well. And that will help you get excited about our meetings and motivate you hopefully to register for this upcoming meeting. If you're interested in joining the airr community or becoming a sponsor of the airr community, please visit this URL. There are many benefits to being a member, including reduced registration fees for our meetings, membership in the Antibody Society, and opportunity to serve in leadership positions on our working groups and subcommittees, and the ability to vote on matters of relevance to the airr community, among other things. So for more information, please visit our website. This picture is from our last in-person meeting, which was held in Genoa in 2019, and it was a wonderful meeting, and I think we're all hoping we get to do that again this coming December. And thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this session.
So there is no question in the chat on the live meeting, but I forgot to mention that, of course, if you have any questions, please jump in. So thank you, Lindsay, for the introduction of your community.